Hello, hello. Happy Sunday afternoon. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And I swore I wasn't going to say that. I'm sorry. That was, having dual meaning there. But that's what I wanted to say. Happy Mother's Day to everybody who has a child and is a lady. How's about that? Does that sound politically correct? Oh, that song that was just playing, I think that's one of my favorite ones that is on the Discord channels that, I use periodically. I have been using them for quite a few years now. I've gotten to know a lot of the songs. At least when I hear them, I'm like, yeah, I know that one. So, happy Sunday afternoon. I hope you can join me with spinning. I was test driving some of my command thing is not working with Cloudbot. I've got to go and figure that out. So I don't know what's going on. And right now, I'm just really happy that this is working because at the end of the stream on Thursday evening, there was something going on, and I was messing with trying to fix that, and I got other stuff on there from like a frame that I used to use. It goes with the screen that I use, the be right back and starting soon and all that. It came as a package, so it goes with that, but it was in the middle, right? It was running right across the middle of the screen, not framing it, and I couldn't get it. I could not grab it anywhere. So I was exhausted. It was Thursday evening. I had been on for quite a while. I stayed on a little later, and I sat there for another 30 minutes messing with it. So I just said, never mind. And I came and sat down today, and I got everything. I mean, it worked. I just got everything working. So the next thing is, let's go see if the live scene looks good as I think it does. There we go. Now, the big difference is I've got this black background, right? That is what's been giving me all my trouble, is the background. And right now, like I said, I'm leaving it black. I might be able to change the color on that Ko-Fi. Let's see. No, it's all part of custom CSS underbody with, oh, I see. RGBA is 0000. That means I would have to put numbers in there for a color. Well, I am definitely not going to mess with that right now. So, yeah, right now we just have a black background for today. I like the color of my yarn spinner's tails. I'm fine with that. So we're just going to keep it. My camera looks pretty good here, too. Oh, no it doesn't. Well, first of all, check out my towel. I had this, I've had this for a couple of years. I got it at a fiber fair, and it was the Hoosier Hills, and it does have the name Hoosier Hills Fiber Festival, but I thought I wouldn't give free advertising, and I figured out how to fold it and get it on my lap so you can see the sheep and the llama. I just thought it was adorable with little black faces. My goodness, hello, Faye. It has been forever. I am doing good. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're going to be spinning some Blue Face Luster here as soon as I get this camera adjusted. So you can see the bobbin. That looks pretty good there. All right. What's new in your life? Okay, I have this much left to spend. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day, any mother out there. And I have my Mother's Day celebration. I already got my gift. My gift was a bottle of soak. I talked about that last time for washing yarn. But my Mother's Day together with my daughter is going to be next Sunday, and because we're going to a fiber fair together. So that's going to be my Mother's Day with her, and I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to going to the fiber fair. I started a shopping list, and one thing that I put on, I realized I really can't get there. I would like to get more bobbins from Acreworks for my Aura. They were the plastic ones, the 3D printed ones. And, ooh, blue face lusters, right? I love it. This was dyed by the Painted Tiger. That is the dyer, and she still sells online. So, it's available. Yeah, so the probably what I'll do is drop that as a hint to my daughter for Christmas, because she can order them. She knows what I need, what I mean, and what I need for Christmas. That'll be nice. But the main thing I'm going to look for at the fiber fair is yarn, blanks. I mean, white yarn, right? Now, I have white fiber, and I can spin white yarn, which I will probably start doing here after I finish this, because I want to do big dye projects, and I want to dye yarn. So I have some dyed yarn to sell September, when I have a little bit of a booth at Young's, yeah, what's that called? It's Wool Gathering. It's called the Wool Gathering. You keep meaning to buy from her? Actually, nothing much new in your life besides you're always buying new spindles. And the Fiberfest sounds amazing. It does. I love Fiberfest. Do you know what else, though? I've got a real hankering. It starts in June and goes for 8 weeks. We have here in Kentucky a permanent medieval village that gets used in the summertime for the Renaissance Fair. It runs 8 weeks. That's what I want to go to. But they also then, after that, have for a couple weeks a Celtic fair, and for a couple weeks after that they have a Viking fair. So they use it all summer long. It's basically got a lot of permanent buildings there, as well as vendors will set up, booths and things like that. So I haven't been there for a while. I am really looking forward to going to the Ren Fair, and I got the itch to get my costume out and see if it fits. Yesterday, when we went to the German club, because a lot of the women, men were dressed in lederhosen. Believe it or not, I saw one man in a kilt, which, okay, brave soul. The Germans, I don't think were kilt wearers, but that's okay, I was pleased that a gentleman was wearing a kilt. But the women, oh my goodness, so many were in the Renaissance outfits, or which can pass for the German, right? It can pass for the German too. They wear a wreath of flowers on their head, which I actually had a real one year from a Ren Fair out in California, but it didn't dry well, so it's not really wearable. And I have the thought that I have silk flowers. I have a ton of silk flowers that I could use, or I had the thought of a headband, which is another way that they wear it, with flowers on it. So I need to make that before we go. Maybe I'll do that on stream one Tuesday. That would be fun. That would be different. Little silk flower work. I have done silk flower corsages, a lot of them. I've done wedding bouquets. I've done wreaths for doors, for my mom, and I don't have them here at my house. My big wreath decoration is, I have a great big one on the front porch that is grapevine that I made from our grapevines when we did a lot of pruning one year. And I have a fair number of small ones. One of those would sit on my head if I could figure out how to keep it on my head. I don't know if I could, because I have one that's just about perfect hat size, circular, but I don't know. That'd probably be hard to keep on my head. Anyway, yesterday at the German Club was a lot of fun. We were there for about 5 hours. Hubby drank enough for 2 of us, which is fine because ever since his stroke in 2017, he doesn't drive. I do all the driving, so, I told him, yeah, there's always a silver lining. This stroke thing was not a good thing. Him not being able to work because he couldn't drive because of the stroke was not a good thing. I said, but you get to drink all you want. And he loves to drink, so, it's a silver lining, right? They had Maybach. I've always pronounced it Maybach. They corrected me when I went up to buy the beer, my mug of beer, because I said, I want a Maybach, and she said, just one Maybach? Very nice way to correct me. I suppose it's a German thing. I don't know. But that is a seasonal beer, only available right now. And they confided that they had trouble getting it, which is pretty bad when you go to your May celebration, the German May celebration, and not be able to get the German beer for May. They did get it at a brewery in Cincinnati, so it was good. It was very tasty. And the highlight of that is the Maypole. Now, they have an Oktoberfest, but there's never any kind of event like that at the Oktoberfest one in the fall. However, they always have a parade, so they have all these flags, and the people who are, usually because they're dressed appropriately in the German clothes with the lederhosen and everything for the men, and the women in their print dresses with aprons, and it just they go ahead and get all the flags out and parade around with a little tiny band. This one had a drummer, a flugelhorn player, and not much else. This is all volunteer. So. We woke up this morning and it was summer. I want the weatherman to say that one day. It is 81 degrees. It is humid because it rained all night. It's going to rain again later. But that music sounds kind of loud to me. I think I'll check. Oh, you did your fair share of polka bands? Yes. I didn't even think about that, but the music, they had canned music, and I got that channel that they were, the singer that they were doing by Googling some of the lyrics of the song. I got beer, I got polka. I forget. Enough for four or something like that. Anyway, I could hear the song, so I Googled it and I found the singer that was actually singing it. So I have it on my phone. I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually play or not. I would not have been able to hear it if at there, and I didn't think to test it when I got home last night. But they were using German Muzak. They do polkas sometimes when they have a live band. People will get up and dance to it. I have no clue how to do it right. And of course, you're doing it with a partner, and hubby wouldn't get on the dance floor. And I've never learned to dance. Neither one of us have. We talked about trying square dancing once, but never did it. Go for square dancing classes. I think we could probably handle that. A lot of this was discussion before I had my knees replaced, so I'm a little more active now than I was. Contra dance near you. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure there are. They spend the first hour generally at a contra dance teaching. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure we could. We have several dance studios in town that will hold dance nights, for their students who have been taking lessons. Fiddle player sounds good. Guitar, banjo, etc. It's very fun. Yeah, and live band I love live bands, you're right. That's always a lot of fun. Okay, I probably would have to find somebody else to go with, to do it with, to be real honest with you. What happened with hubby's stroke is he totally lost his peripheral vision. So it's like he sees from about that much. Well, he can't see anything. One side's worse than the other, but he can't see anything. You can literally stand right beside him and he can't see you. Because I've done it. I've scared him half out of his wits where he's standing in the kitchen, he doesn't hear or see that I've come in because I just happen to hit his blind sides. That would not, he would just have a terrible time dancing. He really would. But we love music. We love going to live music, which is one of the things we do at the state fair. It's usually singers. It's always singers. But we still enjoy that. Go a couple times during the fair. And yes, that's another thing we like at the Ren fairs too. They always have good live music. It costs to get into the Ren fair, but the entertainment is free. Well, I still haven't decided if I'm going to ply this with another color or cable ply it. I have a second half of this braid to spin, and I'm going to put it on a second bobbin. So it leaves my options open for a little longer. Boy, that didn't want to draft. I can see some of that gray base they were talking about. This was dyed over. Yeah, it's not like the State Fair has free concerts, and they're not names. And they, in the past, would bring in name that you paid for, right? You could see Garth Brooks or somebody like that. They didn't do that last year. I don't know if it was interfering too much with the horse show industry that also uses that same arena or during the fair. You know, maybe they just couldn't work it out to do concerts that you pay for anymore. So that last year, that I can't remember beyond that, but last year for sure they didn't have any paid concerts. But the Ren fairs, the concerts are just people who go to the Ren fair, right? And they pass a hat, so you can tip them, right? Which I like, but you pay to get in the Ren fair, and then you don't have to pay to see anything. Of course, it's bleachers, and let me tell you, if that sun's on them, they're metal bleachers. But then, you know, we always have long skirts on, and but yeah, they can get hot. This November you're going to Texas for the Ren Fair. That's a big one, yes. It's supposedly the biggest one anywhere? Okay, I knew it was big. What, is it near a big city, or is it, ours is out in the country, right? It has an address, but they have, it's like great big farm area that it sits on. Somebody donated that land for them to make a permanent, which I think is pretty cool too. Okay, if you fly in, oh, yeah, you go to Houston. Okay, well that gives me an area. I have never been to Texas. Passed through a lot of the states all the way from California to uh, Kentucky, but I never went north or south of that route. And when I lived in California, I went north and south. Went to Vegas once, but you know what I'm saying. Went to Tijuana once. That was an interesting. I took a bus. Um, hubby was in a conference, and that's actually ex-hubby. He was in a conference, and uh, so I didn't have anything to do, and I went on this bus trip. And all you did was you went down into Tijuana, you went to a shopping area where, you know, it's like tourist shopping area like they do with the cruise ships, right? It's all set up for tourist shopping. And you could bring back as much Kahlua as you wanted to. Which surprises me because, like on the cruises and everything, there's always, if you go, Jamaica, you can only bring back one bottle of rum or something. They have limits. But anyway, the bus basically didn't get checked, which is why everybody was saying, you can take this. I didn't end up buying that much. I like Kahlua, but I didn't end up buying that much. I have the nervous tourist attitude. I want to go through one of my packaging, U.S. packaging. Yeah, I don't know what. Anyway, I bought one. It was fine. That and the other thing was vanilla, and this was before. I mean, the prices of vanilla skyrocketed recently. This was back when vanilla was cheap. You could buy literally a gallon of vanilla. I did not, but I did buy 2 liter bottles or big bottles. I don't know if they might have been a half liter or 750 or no, they wouldn't have been 750. That's way too big. Must have been 375. Anyway, yeah, I had vanilla forever. I finally ran out, but I wasn't living in California anymore. Yeah, real Mexican vanilla. That was actually, I was more excited about than the Kahlua. Although I like to drink Black Russians, which is Kahlua is part of Kahlua and cream. That's a White Russian, actually. You like that drink too? Yeah. Good winter drink. You can put it on ice, but you don't have to. Warm me up a little bit. So we did a thing, and I don't believe I've talked about it. Um, we had a Caribbean cruise planned, booked for leaving the Saturday. I think maybe I did talk about this. I can't remember. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. The Saturday after Thanksgiving, and we canceled that and booked a Panama Canal. I did talk about this. I remember that because I must have done that on Thursday, right before I streamed. So anyway, yeah, now we're all excited because we're going to finally get to see the Panama Canal. And it's a week later. It's December 6th. We have to fly into Panama City. That one is like, whoo. It's going to be, I don't know how much layover we're going to have. I bet you we have a huge, I don't know. We'll have time changes. I know that. Which will be okay going and harder coming back. This is it for this bobbin. Well, yeah, I am not. We've gone to the Caribbean enough. It was okay because, it was inexpensive and it's a good time of the year to go. It's cooler here and colder here. But what got us started was I got a brochure from Oceania, who is sister company with NCL that we cruise with, and they had what looked like a really nice Panama and the cities around there, and so I called I verified what the price was, which turned out, of course, being more than it looked like in the brochure because, one, it was per person, two, there was fees and blah, 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 And hubby is like, it became very expensive. It got pretty high up there. And so hubby was like, well, NCL has the same thing. I said, no, NCL won't have the same thing. Thinking Oceania was a smaller ship. It was a very small ship. They could get into different ports, right? And then the big ship can, because big ships are limited which port they can go to. Well, turns out NCL does have, it's really cool. They fly you to Panama City, and the next day they go through, and you go on the west side of the canal, and you go through the canal to the east side, and then you do all the cities, bouncing around the cities there, heading towards finally Miami. So you end up two different places. You go into Panama City and you come home to Miami, which is another reason we let them book the flight, because when it's like cars, they don't like it if you leave one and you don't return to the same place. It's always more expensive. And they had a deal where they second passenger flies free. Like I said, cruise industry is really pushing. I think people just aren't cruising like they used to. But anyway, that worked out not bad for the airfare, but we're at their mercy. We did this for the Alaska Hawaiian one, and hubby said we would not let NCL book us again. It was kind of, it was okay, but it was a little stressful during the whole process of, the getting there and getting home. But it really made no sense to try to do our own booking. When NCL has it all set up and they know you're coming, they'll have somebody there to meet you and get you to the ship. And in many ways, that's the most important thing. And they'll get you off the ship, and they have buses that go to the airport. You just have to tell them what airline you're flying. So, we'll see. This was on my bucket list to do, so I'm going to keep a positive attitude about it. Make it a good experience. Costco travel planners. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Ever since COVID, I think it's gotten really a big hit. Yes. I believe that's part of it, too. I know that's part of it, too. Yes. There was, during the shutdown, of course, they couldn't cruise. But the year after that, there was this horrible fear that you would get on the ship, come down with COVID, and spend your entire cruise isolated. Because that's what their terms and conditions said would happen if you came down, displayed symptoms of or were diagnosed with COVID. That was post-testing, and they did COVID tests before boarding on 2 of the cruises we took since the COVID thing, but they did not on the last one. So, they're lightening up on the restrictions. The possibility is always there, but so many people are vaccinated now, and that I feel less concerned. And you can always wear a mask. No shame in that if you're, going to be in a big group, like the auditorium for a show or something like that. You can wear a mask. Very first cruise we went on after they opened it up, they tested everybody for COVID, and they gave everybody masks. That was their, okay, the rest is up to you. We have people on here that are all negative COVID, and they all have a mask if they'll wear it or not, yeah. But anyway, that was like the first cruise after the COVID thing when we went. beans in there. I still have not done the plying I need to do. I just haven't felt like sitting here, even watching something on Stars or something like that. I haven't felt like doing it. This is going to be gardening week. I gotta wait for the next rains to go through, and then we're going to have cooler and dry weather, and I need to get my 2 beds prepped, and then I bought plants yesterday at Seed and Starts, a local. It's a charity thing in a way. They have a setup for gardening, and then getting that food to people in the downtown urban area that need it. But what they do is they have a greenhouse, and in the spring they ask for volunteers, then people plant all sorts of pots of plants, and my daughter helped with that. I have never actually gone to do any of the work, but I do like to go and buy the plants. I could go to any garden center and buy plants, and I buy more than just tomato plants, which I can't grow. I bought things that I could stick a seed in the ground and get, right, but to support them and to get a quicker jump, my squash and cucumbers I went ahead and bought as little plants, and they have blooms on them. So, unless something comes along and eats them, or, I should get a good jump start on that. Anyway, we went yesterday and did that before we went to the German club. So I have them out on the porch. This will be their hello. Here's the real world, not a greenhouse acclimation period. Hardening off is in gardening terms, right? They're hardening off. Oh, I'm done. This goes all the way on. The greenhouse is kind of tight in the aisles, right? It's sort of one person gets through, and people kind of make room for other people to go through and everything. And I saw a sign, and it was a squash that I wanted to acorn squash, right? I like acorn squashes, and I can store them and all that. And I picked up 2 of those, and I'm walking down the thing, and I'm kind of looking at, sorting out what I'm getting and looking at the tags and everything, and I'm looking to see where's my squash. And so I pull this out and I look at it to see if it's squash, and it says zucchini. I was like, zucchini? And I pulled out the other one, it was zucchini. I was like, but there was a little worker guy walking across, from me, and I said, excuse me, I said, can I give you these? I don't want them. They're zucchini. And he laughs. I mean, nobody wants zucchini, right? That's the gardener joke, right? Nobody wants zucchini. And after I thought about it, now that I think about it, I never went back to get my acorn squash. So I never did get that. I can plant that by seed, but that would have been another good one to get started earlier. And I realize now I went around to the far side to look at all the herbs. And and I thought, okay, I'm done. Not remembering I didn't have my squash. So I missed that. Maybe I could start some in a pot right now. Maybe that would work. I have put seeds like that in wet paper towels to sprout them too. And then stuck the sprouts in the hill. I have done that too in the past. You're almost overwhelmed by the garden. Oh, is it your plants or is it weeds? I have so much trouble with weeds because my gardens are in the middle of not in the middle, but they're by our fence, and all around it is grass, which we mow. But my neighbor, beyond the fence there, has a field that he runs cattle on. And so, that's where I get a lot of my weeds, from stuff that blows in the wind and comes over from that field. He has his garden. He's really up in years, so he's not gardening like he used to. But he has, in the past, his big garden, huge garden, which he loved, and he always did big enough that he could run his tractor disker between certain of the rows, right, and then a little tiller between others of the rows. So, I mean, he didn't have to weed. He just zipped through it with mechanical, because he had a tractor. I don't know how he did that, but I just know that in years past, in talking to him, he would say, well, Margaret told me if I walked in this house with another zucchini, she'd throw me out. Right? That's his wife. It's like, yeah, you can grow it, but you're not the one that has to find a way to keep it. But yeah, they were gardening more because that was a supplement to their... She did can. That was a supplement to their menus. But he's a little beyond that now, and I am too. I just do 2 raised beds. I'll grow tomatoes, squash, green beans, cucumbers, and that's it. I have spinach coming up in my arrow garden behind me, my water garden. It's sprouted, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I know. There is no way to keep... The only way to keep zucchini is to grate it up and freeze it in freezer bags. And you may not have freezer space, but the only way I ever kept zucchini was to grate it up, freeze it in freezer bags, and then I would use that for baking. The only way I like to eat zucchini, I like to eat zucchini. I don't can't stand it all the time, but you know, I'll just slice and cook it. But I love it grilled, broiled, or you know, grilled. Um, I've even taken put it in a pan and just cut it in quarters and baked it with butter and salt and pepper. But yeah, I agree. Just to keep zucchini, except for baking. Yeah, yeah. Frozen zucchini bread. Yeah. Well, I don't go through the trouble of baking the bread. I just it's gonna be mushy, but it doesn't matter when you put it in baked goods. You might need to cut your water a little bit, but usually not. Yeah, right. One person needs one zucchini plant, right? And I never plant zucchini. It shows up. I mean, uh, my neighbor used to bring it over to me. He says, "You're the only one I know that eats," and he'll come over with it and apologize. He said, I got this." He says, "You don't have to take it if you don't want it. If you," and I said, "Fine. I've already eaten what you gave me." So, you know, I think I'm one of the few people that do eat a lot of squash fresh, and I don't pay for it in the grocery store. I only eat it when I get it from a garden like that because it's not that it's bad in the grocery store. It's just very expensive. They sell it by the pound. And the other thing, squash I really like is called spaghetti squash. And I have grown that in the past too. And I have some seed for that this year, so I'm going to try and see if I can get some spaghetti squash. If not, I'll buy them once in a while. It's expensive, like I said, because they charge by the pound, and they're big. But I love that, where you bake it and then fork it out so it looks like pasta. Never tried to grow that or acorns or anything. Your coworker grew Asian squash and it was long and huge. Oh, huh. Yeah, I don't know what that is either. And you liked it? And I'm mad to this day I didn't take her offer and get one. Oh, I thought you had one. Okay. Hopefully she grows more this year. I love crookneck, the yellow. That's my absolute favorite of the summer squashes. I'll eat zucchini, but I prefer the yellow. And I like the acorn the best as far as the flavor and everything. Butternut's okay, but not my favorite. And then the spaghetti squash is different. I mean, I eat it differently. I bake it and I eat it more like a pasta, where I may put a little milk and butter and flour and make a roux and put it on squash after I bake it. I always talk about food, don't I? Food's a thing with me, of course. Like to cook. Like to bake. I used to love to can. I'm not as... I just don't want to bother now for just the two of us and then see it go to waste because we just don't eat it up. And can't. It's very hard to find. I can give canned goods to my daughter, but I can't give it to anybody else. There's just a concern that you did this in your kitchen. You know what I'm saying. There's just that concern eating somebody else's canning. So I don't give it away. Squash was like 15 inches, and I was like, I'm one person. Yeah, yeah. Be interesting though to see how it tastes. Um, and you love to bake too. Yeah, it depends on what the item is. If it's a high acid thing, I will generally take it. Yeah, I know, but still. And I went, when with the two of us and me stopping doing the pressure canning, especially, I only did water bath for tomato juice. It's the only thing I do in cans anymore. It's frozen, and so, like my applesauce is all in the freezer. And I may get apples this year if all goes well, because the tree was just covered in blooms. So I may get apples this year. We don't always get apples, but I'm thinking this might be a year we get some. You research your new pressure canner? Yeah, it's a company called All American. Okay. And it's on the way. Oh no, that was says by the way. Okay. Yeah, but that by the way. Oh, that's good. Yeah, you need it. If you do beans, green beans, which I used to do all the time. Now, like I said, if I was doing a big garden where I had a tiller and everything, when I went to the garden beds, the 2 garden beds, I just don't grow enough that it pays. That's right. I remember you talking about that. You made a great apple pear butter this year. Ooh, yes, yes. Oh, you want to talk about labor intensive? My mother-in-law, who is deceased now, but years ago, when our pear tree was producing, it has since died, and that orchard is 30 years old, and so there's really only the one apple tree left. But anyway, when I was getting some pears, she says, "Oh, I remember my mom making pear preserves when I was a child." And, I was like, okay. So I looked in all my books and I Googled it, and I made the traditional pear preserves, which you cut up your fruit and you cook it in high syrup, lots and lots of sugar, a little bit of water, so it kind of candies it, right? But then that syrup will thicken also. You cook it down to the point where it's spreadable with the chunks of pears. And I entered at the fair. When I made enough that I entered a can in the fair, because it was something that, like, oh, I'll probably never do this again. And so, and I gave her 2 jars, thinking that she'd be all excited, and she was so nice about it, but she was like, "This isn't pear preserves." It's like, oh, gee, what did pear preserves look like? Which I should have done to begin with. Well, it was kind of brown and almost like an apple butter. Oh my gosh, she meant pear butter. I was like, oh, all right, well. And she says, it's good. She says, but it's just way too sweet. And I agreed with her. It was so sweet it hurt my teeth. You know, it was like just so sweet. And I had done 6 jars. So, you know, 3, 1 I kept, 1, 3 I kept, 2 I gave to her, and the one that goes to the state fair you don't get back. So, anyway, it took me a while to get through those pear preserves. I finally hit on buying yogurt and putting it as the fruit in the bottom of a plain yogurt. It's the way I finally used up most of it. Oh, you know what? I had told you all that I wouldn't stream this time on Thursday because we were going to go look at a washer. Well, it turns out we aren't getting the washer because it went over $300. Way beyond what we were going to pay for it. If we're going to do that, I'm going to buy a new one. But it was like, oh, all right, we don't have to go look at the washer. Don't have to worry about getting it home either. I really didn't think it'd go that high. I was quite surprised. Dang. I know I do need a washer. But I don't necessarily need to buy it used. Hubby does the laundry. He keeps that thing running. So, as you know, until he tells me I'm sorry, we aren't going to have clean clothes anymore. We're not going to go buy one. He was all right getting the one at the auction, but he didn't want to go that high. I think he said he'd go up to 150. This looks like it has more colors than the other one. I don't know. That's interesting, isn't it? More of the purple color. I think it did on the other one too, and then I got into a lot of blues towards the end of the bobbin. Trying to see if there's any of this roving on the floor. Gonna start seeing different shirts because I got my summer clothes out. Yay. Put away all those sweaters. Got this t-shirt on that cruise. We went to Hawaii. Bought it on the cruise ship, not in Hawaii. I think. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah. That's what they have for days at sea. They'll have specialty stuff. They have at least one great big shop. Sometimes they have smaller specialty shops, like a jewelry shop and stuff like that. But they have one great big one. I mean, you can go in there and buy candy bars, and you can buy all sorts of t-shirts and hats and keychains and, souvenir stuff. And then they have things that they say, oh, okay, this is special. This today perfumes are on 20% off or something like that. But I don't usually shop and do a lot of shopping on the ship. I do it mostly in the ports. But they always have a t-shirt sale the last day before disembarkation, right? And the t-shirts are always $10. Now that they don't have all their t-shirts there, but you have to pick whatever. But I got this one on the $10 table. I like the color. I like the green. Kind of a spring green, I guess. Kind of interesting blend of the blue and the magenta going here. Kind of pulling out together. Okay, break time. Oh yeah. I made a bunny, those Angora bunny that I do that out of a square at the German thing yesterday. I had started knitting it, but I finished it. Doesn't take too long to knit a square, and sewed it together. I threw a little stuffing in the bag, that I took with me, and there was, the tables sat next to each other, big long tables, and they'd seat 6 to 8 to a side, and the table across next to us had 2 young little girls, and the one, I got my grandma badge, because I was just sitting there knitting, and unfortunately I had my knitting in my hand, so I couldn't really hug her, but she just walked up and she just laid her head right here on my arm and just, hi, and then went back to her table, and her parents were watching her, of course, and they were laughing. They were saying that, I'm sorry, don't, she just loves people, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, it don't matter. But that was the real young one. The older one then hadn't really come over, but I had the bunny done, and I had it sitting on the table, and the older one came over. She didn't pick it up or anything. She just looked at it and grinned and smiled. And I said, "You like the bunny?" And she said, "Yeah," and that was all. She didn't. I was debating what I would do, if I'd give it to her or not. And one of the reasons I didn't is the Angora. It's not the best thing to give out randomly. People could be allergic to it, that sort of thing. But just talking to her was fine. So, yeah, it was interesting. I often, whatever I do, if I'm spinning or whatever, it generates conversation around me, or people come and talk to me or whatever. I'm very used to that. Yes, it is very, very dark blue. It's a purple navy, right? There are lighter blues. You can see a lighter blue. Almost looks gray. So here's the. I like it. I really like it. That's why I said I'm not sure. And then what I have I'm thinking about playing with it is this, which is navy. So I don't know. Haven't decided yet. So I got another little bunny done. I need to get a basket. Start putting these bunnies in, and then I'm planning on taking them when I sell the yarn in September. Plan on selling the Angora bunnies. I still have a lot of partial little bits of mostly gray yarns to use up. It's a really good way to use it up. When it's like this, dark like this, I call them jewel tones, right? If this has on Tencel or something like that, they'd glow. They're so dark and intense. Hi, knitter. You've been watching and spinning and playing along with you. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you too. I appreciate that. Got an early morning text from my daughter saying Happy Mother's Day, and we chatted a little bit before she before she got into her busy day being a mother of my grandson. I don't know what they were up to today. She didn't really say. Gotten spoiled. I haven't spun on a treadle spinning wheel for a while here. what I think what I'm gonna do is get if I have a third bobbin. Of course, I could use I could spin it on the Aura. Okay, I think here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna spin this bobbin, of course, and then I'm gonna start spinning the blue that I had pulled out to play with it. And then I'm going to get my drop spindle and do a little sample playing of these two together, or one of these with the blue, just a little bit, just enough to see what I like better. I don't usually do that. Usually I have a pretty good idea how a yarn's going to look when I'm spinning the fiber. But the progression of colors in this makes me want to keep the progression together. And what I can do is start out at the end of the bobbin and apply a little bit from each one with the blue, because it would be, I don't worry about the blue with the other, it's whether the blue is too blue, right? Too much blue. And then when I get closer to the color change, I'll apply the two bobbins together. Sounds like a plan. I hope I remember. Sometimes I take notes about stuff like that. I mean, I know what a cabled yarn is going to look like. I can use the two bobbins, just chain ply, chain ply the one bobbin, chain ply the next bobbin. I'd have two skeins, a lot less yardage, but I know what it would look like, right? It's going to look like the braid, which I liked, little more subtle, because the colors are spread out and some blended together as I drafted. I know what it was I was working on Thursday that broke everything. I was trying to get stickers. And I mean, I got the emotes, but I was trying to make stickers that you can stick on the stream. And they're the same as the llama and the alpaca emotes, right? That's what got me the setup all messed up. I don't know why. Because, well, yeah, I do know why. Because after you make your stickers, which I did fine, I got those, then you were supposed to put the browser source into my sources. You know, just like I have the Ko-Fi source and the camera on top of the computer and all that. You know, that's what makes this setup is the sources. And I put that source in there and everything went wonky. So I don't know. I don't know if it was because I wasn't live. You know. I'm ready to take a break here for a little bit. Where is that website? I have so many papers here. Let's see if this was it. Do we have a menu here? There it is. Alright, that wasn't it. That's right, it was a Twitch extension. Yeah, okay. Well, at least I got back to the same place. So. It looks like right now I can only do one sticker. Oh, there they are. Okay. So, okay. Now I have to figure out. I think I see why it didn't work, for one thing. Hang on with me just 5 minutes. I just need to try this. Can you see what it says browser source on there? Okay, I'm not real sure why I don't have the stickers there. That's what I'm trying to get right there. I'm sure you can see that. Huh. Let's see what they say here. The browser source is not yet active in the streaming software. Huh. Okay. No, can't do that. All right. I am going to make this real tiny and out of the way. Like that. I can grab it and I'll mess with that later. Because if it says it's not active yet, maybe I need to let it cycle like I did on the other thing. So I am just going to let it percolate there for a little bit and see if maybe it goes active. Alright. Alright, that was my break. Let's spin another 15-20 minutes and then I think I'm going to call it a stream. I am so close to being done. Should I sit here and finish this? It's going to take a while, but maybe I will. What else have I got to do? Sun shining. We had a gloomy start to the day. The sun is shining now, and of course, like I said, it got really hot and humid outside. I don't know what hubby's planning on doing, although I know we're not going anywhere, so I shouldn't have, unless he has to go get gas for the mower. Might have to do that. I am having a summer supper. I am having ice cream and strawberries. I should finish up the braid. I agree with you. I think I'm gonna. You was up very late last night and got your braid done. You'll apply it tomorrow. I so often end a stream with just, like 6 inches left on the braid. but that is partially my knees. I just can't sit here anymore, you know. But I don't feel too bad today. Got the hiccups, sorry.